Welcome to Hero Blend number 11. I'm your host, Amirose Eisenbach. Captain America the Winter Soldier is out around the world and coming to US theaters on Friday, so we're going to dive headfirst into spoiler territory and talk about how the movie affects the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome back. I am joined this week by the wonderful Amirose Eisenbach, editor over at AMC Movie News. How's it going?
Good, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, thanks for coming. So this week, we talked about Captain America Winter Soldier in depth 2 weeks ago, but this week, we are going to be focusing a bit more on the spoilery side of the situation, because there is a lot to spoil here.
A lot to spoil.
So, first off, Rose, what did you think of the movie?
I loved
Let's start
it.
there.
I loved it. I saw it last night again.
Okay, for the second time.
Yes.
And
you
just as
saw
good?
me.
Uh-huh.
The first time after I came out of the movie, which is probably why you invited me here, I was just like, that was epic! It was so good!
Yep.
And like, everyone's like, is it better? Is it the best Marvel film? I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and go on record to say that it is my favorite.
I completely agree.
Avengers may have been more fun by definition, but this was the better movie.
Absolutely.
Everything about it, the script, the character moments, everything. Chris Evans has never been better.
Absolutely, he's
so
fantastic.
many spoilers about the universe, which we'll talk about, but
Well, that's the whole thing.
I loved this freaking movie. I loved it so much.
It is really fantastic. I mean, it's a universal thing. This is an absolutely loved film. I think it's going to go down as one of the greatest comic book movies in history, without question. And part of the reason I loved it so much is because it has such an incredibly massive effect on the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, Iron Man 3, obviously you have Iron Man losing his armor. Yeah. Thor, you have him coming to Earth, kind of leaving Asgard behind. But this one, let's just say it, S.H.I.E.L.D. is fucking destroyed!
S.H.I.E.L.D. out!
S.H.I.E.L.D. is gone! We have the most clandestine organization in the world protecting everybody's security. Now it is gone. It has been infiltrated by Hydra, completely taken down. What the hell is going to happen here? Amirose, please.
Oh my god, well, on the Hydra moment, how amazing was it? Robert Redford at the end saying, Hail Hydra. Like, what? Did you ever think you would ever a film icon like that?
Totally.
So, I mean, where I think they're going to go, because the last scene was Maria Hill, Stark Industries, and we do know that she did become, commander and then the director of the new S.H.I.E.L.D. So, I feel like that's where they're going, and I'm personally really happy with that.
Yeah.
I love Kobe Smulders.
Yeah, I think she's fantastic, and also really underused in Avengers so far. So and also, I mean, to a certain degree, I mean, she played her role in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, but to see her role expand, also like to go where that character's headed, like the Civil War timeline, where she becomes kind of the main villain of that story,
which is awesome.
There's a lot of cool things from Maria Hill, but also I think that this movie is going to have obviously a huge effect on the Avengers, because. Who's gonna, you have nobody kind of organizing the team. You have an entire...
And Nick's out. He burned
Nick is gone. He's underground.
He's dead.
Samuel Jackson even said that his role is a bit more minor in the Avengers Age of Ultron.
Disappointed in a little.
Yeah.
That was a good moment for him. The whole car scene.
The entire film. That action sequence is amazing. This is going to be so much gushing, but I guess we can't really avoid it.
We love it. It's real.
But, so, I mean, let's talk consequences of S.H.I.E.L.D. being destroyed. This is the organization that did bring the Avengers together in a kind of global security force, but at the same time, in the next episode, let's call it issue, I guess. We have what's going to be the creation of Ultron, which we don't really know how it's going to come about. I think is it a fair theory to say that Ultron may be created out of kind of picking up from where the rubbles of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I mean, and then they keep alluding to Iron Man and maybe the whole Jarvis, and we know Vision's in it now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really interesting connections, but I mean, the Winter Soldier, first of all, he was awesome too.
Oh, Sebastian Stan
he could have been a flat character, and they didn't make him. And the after credit scene that I can finally talk about,
exactly,
freaking out about it.
Bring it.
But I love that where he's starting to piece it all together, and we know that if Maria Hill does start taking over S.H.I.E.L.D. and she has a tiff with Captain America at one point before turning it over way down the line to Iron Man, and there's so many places it can go.
Absolutely.
So do you think that? I mean, I don't know which storyline they're going to go with, the creator of Ultron, but we know that it's not going to be Pym.
Right, exactly. It's not going to be Hank Pym. That has been confirmed by Joss Whedon.
Which I'm a little disappointed about, to be honest.
But, I mean, it could just be that Ultron was originally created with the idea of helping people. He was created to basically, and the reason why he goes crazy is because he sees the flaws in humanities that he'd like to erase permanently.
We're perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's possible that Ultron is going to be coming out of the rubble of S.H.I.E.L.D., kind of helping or helping the world get back.
Which would make sense.
Which would make sense, and for a great story, and obviously set up a perfect villain for the Avengers to go up against. Let's also talk about Captain America, because this movie, I mean, obviously we have a Captain America 3 coming. We have Stephen Marcus, Christopher McFeely working on the script. The Russos coming back to direct.
So glad about
Very happy about that, because they are awesome. Holy crap. Community and Arrested Development, it doesn't matter. Blockbuster action movies.
Yes.
Yeah, thumbs the hell up.
The hell up.
So obviously, kind of the way that Captain America ended is it leads he's going to continue this mission, and just thoughts on that. Where do you think Captain America 3 is headed?
And I think that's the interesting part, because they said that the events of Captain America 2 fall directly into the Age of Ultron, which would kind of support your theory about, Ultron coming from that.
Sure.
And, where does Cap go from here? I mean, I love the Falcon.
Yes.
Side note. Anthony Mackie, you were at Comic-Con.
Yes.
He was
He's fantastic.
on one.
I've had to talk to him multiple times. He's
was
awesome.
on one, though. That press junket was insane. Marvel's always you don't know who's coming. It's always exciting. But I was, one of the first in the line where he started just dropping the mic.
Yeah.
It's I'm coming for you, Iron Man. And it was just the most outrageous thing ever. So I really like that team up. And Cap, he's a Boy Scout. I think that's one of the relationships I love so much about this as well. I like the Scarlet Witch.
Nope.
Scarlett Johansson.
Black Widow.
Too many Scarlets.
And 2 T's and 1 T.
And
it's
I
also
love that teaser with Elizabeth Olsen and Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
That was awesome.
And we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, sorry,
but
I'm jumping ahead.
There's a lot to talk about here. I also want to say, I think Anthony Mackie hasn't said that he's in Avengers yet, but looking at the end of this movie, seeing those two team up, he kind of has to be, right?
Yeah.
It's not Captain America's not going to be oh, sorry, Sam, I actually have to go hang out with my other friends for a minute. So I think that's pretty fair enough to say at this point. We obviously don't really know how he's going to be involved with the plot.
And Cap 3 is going to depend a lot on the events that happen in Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
And that's what this film, it teased so many things, Doctor Strange.
Yep, we got his Doctor Strange mention in there, which was amazing to hear.
All of us were just and that was so clever how they did that. And so Kevin Feige, again, is such a freaking genius.
Totally.
And this film felt the most connected to a larger
Oh
scheme
yeah, well,
than all the other
and
ones.
also, it kind of reverses the Iron Man 2 bit, where it was kind of forcing the world building a little bit, but here it's completely organic. Every single thing is attached to the story or character. It's one thing that I really love about this film, and it just propels the universe into such an interesting direction.
Yeah.
Let's also talk about Black Widow a bit, because you mentioned it earlier. There is a lot of consequences for her character as well, because you have her entire history suddenly becoming public knowledge.
So good.
As Loki pointed out in the Avengers, her ledger is full with red.
Lots of blood.
How this is a superhero. How do you think that? What interpretation of this character do you think we're going to see moving forward?
And that's why Scarlett Johansson is very hit or miss for me.
Okay.
She's a babe. That's undeniable. She's got it all going for her. Good for you. But in this role, I feel like it's just it hasn't worked for me. It's been fine.
Okay.
But it was just kind of a throwaway character. I loved her in this movie.
She's once again. I loved her in Avengers too, but
I think she was good. Avengers. I did like her in the Iron Man. Her little role, whatever.
She's definitely gotten better and better with it, which I think is the same thing with Chris Evans. I think
my God, this was the best rendition, no question. But I like them because they have such different moral codes.
Yes,
He's Mr. Boy Scout, and she's yeah, you're right. I wouldn't kick you over a cliff, but she would. And, they have such a great relationship, and I thought she really did. That moment when the Hulk was chasing her in Avengers is the moment I was okay, I believed it. I believed her terror, and that's what I wanted to see from her. Just the multi-dimension of this spy who has a lot of red on her ledger, and a lot of she's a tortured character in a lot of ways, trying to find where she belongs. And in the end, I loved that where they're you need us. You're not going to arrest us. You know where to find me. And she's not. I really liked that team up, but she seems like she's going to do some soul searching on her own. Yeah. But where does she go in here? I feel like she's not going to be as much of a dominant character.
Joss Whedon has said that in Age of Ultron that she has a huge storyline. Actually, when I talked to Scarlett Johansson at the Captain America junket,
my boss stole that line, John.
She actually did tell me that we are going to see kind of more of that future coming out.
I'm imagining it's a storyline on its own, though, too. We'll probably get more backstory of her character.
Yeah, and frankly, I'm loving to hear it. The more we hear about the backstory of this character, the more she comes a full character, the more I really enjoy the performance, the more I really enjoy the portrayal. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Me too.
And to kind of just get back to Captain America also, something that has come out of just the kind of junket sphere, everyone talking, is Sebastian Stan's 9-picture contract.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly interesting, especially given that Chris Evans has said he plans on retiring from acting.
Do you know how many pictures are locked with Chris Evans?
I believe his contract is 6 pictures, so it's 3 solo Captain Americas, 3 Avengers movies, which means that the next Captain America movie will be his last. Avengers 3 will presumably be his last. Yeah. But one thing that's interesting, of course, is if Sebastian Stan has a 9-picture contract, Bucky Barnes in the comics, after the death of Captain America, becomes Captain America himself. I think that's a potential future here.
I do too, and I would really like to see that personally, because again, the Winter Soldier could have been a flat character, and he wasn't. And that last end credit scene when he was starting to piece it together, and like, Pierce, he was so good. So good. And that whole scene, I mean, God, I can't even imagine. How do you think it felt for Samuel L.? I mean, we're in spoiler territory, so I'm sorry. But for Samuel L. to, like, kill an icon like that, it was pretty epic. But I really like the whole succession of that. And, like, one of my favorite relationships in all of comics is Professor X with Magneto, because it's so layered. It's like, they were friends, and they have respect, and then they become complete enemies.
But at the same time, there's an understanding.
Exactly. And that's how I feel about the whole Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier, Captain American relationship. They were best of friends, been there for each other forever. Crazy circumstances tore them apart, and then you see it kind of coming back. But he's been kind of, nurture versus nature, like thrown into this whole world of hating him and all this, and like you watch it come back, and I would love that. And Chris Evans has already said I'm out after this to pursue directing, and that's great. I mean,
good for him. At the same time, I'm going to miss the hell out of him, because he's starting to get really good as an actor.
But I would like that, and I think Sebastian Stan has a bright future as this, and I really like that storyline. I like the storylines with a little more edge to relationships than just like, yay, good, bad. Like, there's complicated, and then for him to actually go full throttle again and like full circle and then become, the Cap, I think that would be awesome.
I think that Captain America...
It makes sense. Where else would they do with him? If 9 pictures, that's kind of a lot.
That's kind of a sign. And also, he originally tried out to play Captain America. That's how he originally got thrown into the Marvel Universe, so it's kind of poetic in a way. Let's finish things up. You mentioned it earlier. Let's talk, let's just close it out with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Because you have this great moment at the end of the film where Baron von Strucker walks into this kind of this underground place, and he's suddenly the Age of Miracles. We see Quicksilver bouncing all around, Scarlet Witch just looking generally crazy. Obviously, we've seen some set photos since of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, but I personally, I love the look of these characters. I think it's hilarious that they're almost in a way undercutting X-Men Days of Future Past by getting their version out there first. Thoughts on Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch? Yeah,
it's really interesting, because you look at, Bryan Singer's version versus Joss Whedon's, and like, I do, like, X-Men is my favorite, like, ever. I've been way too many characters for Halloween. It's a little ridiculous. I
can see you with a little Rogue Streak.
I've done that. I should have brought the picture. I'm sorry, I'm failing you. Yeah, I could see you. Gloves, everything. Anyway, but it's interesting because I'm excited for Days of Future Past. Like, it is one of my most anticipated films this year. Totally. It looks amazing, and like Brett Ratner ruined X3, so it's like Singer's redemption. Totally. But Quicksilver needs his signature hair. Yeah. And the fact that he looks like super awful in that one, and he looks pretty awesome, and like we already know that Aaron Taylor Johnson is a good superhero. Yeah. He was awesome as Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass 2 wasn't such a great movie, but I'll still give him the credit for being Kick-Ass.
Olsen.
Yeah, she's a fantastic actress.
I love her.
And I can't wait to see it. And they're both together. They're in Godzilla together, playing a married couple. Now they're playing brother and sister. That should be a bit weird. But I mean, there's an established chemistry there, and I think that could end up being very valuable.
And that last scene, as remember, directed by Joss Whedon, which makes sense. It just got me so excited. She looks awesome, and like, are they gonna play up like the Cap romance with Scarlet Witch there? Like, there's so many different things they could do.
Unbelievable number of options. So, Amy Rose, give me your final thoughts here.
My final thoughts would be thank you, Kevin Feige team. Right. I saw it again last night, and it was very hard to make that work in my crazy schedule yesterday. I was like, I'm seeing this again, and I walked out of there just like the beam, like what this does for comic book fans. Totally. It brings it to life in such a beautiful, magical way that above my expectations, and it just keeps getting better and better, and this has completely set the bar. I mean, this is my favorite Marvel film to date, and come on, DC, take notes, like, what's up? But yeah, I'm so excited for all the hints. This has been the biggest of like alluding to this giant universe that's never going to stop.
Exactly.
And they have so many characters, even the secondary and third, and all these that they could do. So I'm really excited, and this film was amazing.
Tons to be excited about. I hope you all enjoy it. Those who have not seen it yet, they're going to see it this weekend. Everyone else in the international audiences who have seen it, going to go see it again, I guess. Amirose, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
And please come again soon. Have a great week, everyone.